Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes and today you join me once again from the cockpit of my work van on my break. This is going to be part 2 of the Q&A. I already put out a video answering the questions and comments below the Q&A Facebook post, and today I'm going to crack on with the comments below the Instagram post. So let's jump straight into it, and first up we've got @official Retro Stance. Massive shout to you. Retro Stance is on YouTube. I'm really enjoying watching your videos, mate. Retro Stance is building a sick yellow Mark II Escort, which is not only really good to look at, but it boasts a really high spec. And recently he started building a Mark I Fiesta for his girlfriend. So definitely go and check out his channel if you haven't already. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Now, Retro Stance asks, what would you build if money was no object? I mentioned in a previous Q&A that I think it'd be cool to build 3 Escorts. One for drag racing, which would be a space-framed, supercharged V8 powered monster with the supercharger hanging out of the bonnet. Then also build a dedicated drift machine, which would again be space framed and have a 1000 horsepower 2JZ motor. And I think it'd be really cool to utilize Sylvia suspension on that, because Sylvias are really good for drifting. And I mentioned that it'd be cool to have like a Group 4 Cosy powered rally car for daily use and for rallying. But I think I would have to add another one to that collection if money was no object, and I think I would like to purchase one of the new MST Mark I or Mark II Escorts, and that would have to be Millington powered. After having a joyride last year in Ireland in Frank Kelly's Millington powered beast that he likes to call Baby Blue, yeah, those engines are amazing. Frank Kelly's car makes 355 horsepower from a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder Millington lump, and yeah, it was definitely the passenger ride of my life. So yeah, if I was a millionaire, I definitely would have to have some sort of Millington powered Escort. So yeah, massive thanks for your question, Retro Stance, and keep up the good work on your channel. Next up, we got Tommy Ace 95. Massive shout to you, mate. Hi mate, all the cars are looking mint. When are you going to ST170 your dad's Mark III and ST170 the new project, and give it to Kat so she can have an old Ford and can I have a shout out? Yeah, massive shout out to you, mate. As for ST170 and my dad's Mark III, I really think it'd be cool to keep my dad's Mark III stock. My dad's not bothered about, you know, power and stuff, although he does say that it is a bit slow. But never say never. Maybe I'll do an engine transplant on that car in the future. As for the new project, I'm really trying to keep it stock-ish. It's going to have a set of alloys on it. It's going to be lowered, but I do plan to, at first at least, fit a 1.3 crossflow to it. And as for Kat driving the cars, I have so far persuaded her to drive my dad's Mark III to a meet. But yeah, I definitely want to get her driving Maud and Esther at some point. And the new project would be, yeah, perfect for her to be taken to the shows and stuff in the summer, hopefully, if I manage to get that car on the road. Next up, we've got Elliot K11. He's saying we need more fails, and give a shout out to Nathan. Yeah, massive shout out to Nathan, and rest assured there'll be plenty more fails on the channel moving forward. Next up, we got Jack Horton 1231. Massive shout to you. Hey bud, how much was the Mark I build and how many hours roughly? Love your videos. Yeah, I lost count of how much the Mark I has cost me to build years ago. It's somewhere in the region of £30,000 or more. Obviously, throughout the build, I sort of changed my mind on the direction I was going to go. You know, it did have a Pinto engine in it, which I did have properly built by Vulcan Engineering. And then when that sort of blew up, because like an idiot, I set the timing by ear and then took it down the motorway to go to the rolling road. Yeah, then I went down the ST170 route. So I'm not sure how much it's cost, but a ridiculous amount of money, but worth every penny, because I never intend to sell that car. As for how many hours, I don't know, probably thousands. I'm not an expert, so I don't do things as quickly as some other people might. And yeah, there were times where I'd sort of go around the garage back in the day and get a bit lazy and not really do much. But ultimately, I never bothered counting the hours. I've been building that car for, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 years, on and off. Obviously, I had some time off in my 20s for partying and stuff. But yeah, the answer is I don't know how much it's cost and how many hours. But yeah, massive thanks for your question, mate. Next up, we got Buster Dog 50. Massive shout to you. Hi, Marcus. Massive Mark I and Mark II Escort fan. I've had a few over the years and massive Ford fan. Love your channel. and merch. Got my beanies, well happy. Give me and Nigel a shout from Arbroath in Scotland. Yeah, massive shout to you guys. Massive thanks for grabbing some beanies. I'm really happy that you like them. Next up, we got Zyklon01. Massive shout to you. Love your videos, and I've said before, it gets me through the week. How do you get time to work on all your cars? And could you do a shout out to my missus and kids, Isla, Enna and Rose? Cheers, mate. Yeah, massive thanks to you and your missus and kids. And yeah, how do I get time to work on the cars? I just squeeze it into my life. It's not very healthy, you know, spending all your time on your cars and editing videos late into the night, but you know, it's got to be done. And as I mentioned in part 1 of the Q&A, there are going to be some big changes very soon in my life, which is going to free me up so that I've got more time to work on my cars, more time to create content, and I'll go into more detail about that very soon. Shout out to Archie Fletcher 98, who asks, what is your dream build for an Escort? Well, as I mentioned earlier, if money was no object, I would have loads of Escorts in all different specs and for all different purposes. Next up, we got Jessara94XOX. Massive shout to you. Hello, could I please have a shout out to my husband, Scott Shadrick, and our 2 boys, Arthur and Oscar. Yeah, massive shout to Scott, Arthur and Oscar as well. I love your videos and watch all the time. Many thanks. Keep making the awesome videos. Yeah, massive thanks to all of you for your support, and I'm really glad that you enjoy the content. Next up, we got Riceboy_YT. Massive shout out to you, mate. And he's asking a question for Kat. If she's here when I do the Q&A, which she isn't, will she ever wrap or plasti dip Roger? Yeah, Kat has no intention of doing any modifications to Roger. I do keep sort of mentioning it as a laugh. There's actually some 200 brake horsepower upgrade kits that you can get for those 3-cylinder turbo engines that Kat's got in Roger. But yeah, I haven't been able to sway her to modify him yet, but I will keep trying. And Rice Boy's also saying that he has a YouTube channel and the link is in his bio. So I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. Definitely go and check it out. Next up, we got Hoxton_Nicky72. Massive shout to you. And they're asking, what engine are you going to run in the beige bomber? I'm voting you get a YB. Yeah, if I was rich enough to have a Cosy YB, I'd love to have one in at least one of the cars, but yeah, I don't think my wallet's fat enough for that. But as I've already mentioned, I do intend to fit a 1.3 Crossflow to the beige bomber, as you call it. And yeah, I'm really trying to keep that car simple, build it properly-ish, and not ruin it like I have with my other 2 Escorts. Next up, we got Charlie_wasboss. Massive shout to you. And they're asking, would you have a Cortina Mark 1 or Mark 2? Yeah, I really like Mark 1 and Mark 2 Cortinas. I'd have to say Mark 1 Cortinas are my favourite. Yeah, who knows, maybe at some point in the future I'll have a Cortina. I was very lucky to drive a Zetec powered, actually I think it was ST170 powered Mark 1 Cortina last year when I went up to see Jason, I think it was, sorry if I'm remembering your name wrong, in Liverpool, who had an awesome collection of Fords. And yeah, Cortina's a really, really cool car to drive, especially with a Zetec in the bay. Next up, we got Wilson_the_F1B_cockapoo. Shout out to you. And they're asking if I can give a shout out to their hubby, Dean Wilkinson. Massive shout to you as well, Dean. He loves watching your vlogs. He's turning 50 in April, so a birthday shout out would be much appreciated. Yeah, get in touch nearer the time. And yeah, I don't mind giving him a birthday shout out on Instagram. But yeah, happy birthday in advance to you, Dean. Next up, we got Ross MCL42. Massive shout to you. Hi, Marcus. Do you think you will ever turbo any of your cars in the future? And any name yet for your 4-more doors? I'm assuming they're referring to the beige car. All the best to you and your good lady from Ross in Brisbane. Yeah, massive shout to you, Ross. Do I intend to turbo any of my cars? I'd really love to have some sort of turbo car in the future. But on the other hand, I really do like the feel of NA. So yeah, I'm not really sure which, if any, of my current cars I would turbo, but yeah, watch this space. I'm pretty sure at some point in the future I'll have to experience the power of a boosted motor. As for a name for the beige car, I have decided on a name for the new project, and I will announce that on the channel very soon. Next up, we got Bright Built Mark II, and I know that's AD Bright. Massive shout to you, AD. AD is the guy that organises the awesome meets at Herbie's. So I'll leave the social media links to Horsepower at Herbie's in the description. Definitely check it out if you can. It's an awesome meet. AD's asking, will I be attending any Horsepower at Herbie's meets this year in Maud? He says he's seen the Mark 1 and the Mark 3, but yet to see or hear Maud. Yeah, I'll definitely be attending Horsepower at Herbie's again. And yeah, I'll try and bring Maud next time, mate. And a little birdie tells me that you've started a YouTube channel, AD. I did have a look the other day and you haven't got any videos yet. But yeah, interested to see your channel once you actually start uploading. Next up, we got Lukey Vangaloo. Massive shout to you. Asking, what is your favourite cheese? And I think I would have to say buffalo mozzarella or mozzarella di bufala. Really, really like that. Next up, we got the Capri Vlog, who is also on YouTube. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. He's got a really cool Capri that he actually brought down to be on my stand at the Ford show at Santa Pod last year. He's saying, hey bud, always amazing to have a shout out if you don't mind. Yeah, massive shout to you, mate. Loving your content, bud. Really entertaining every video. Yeah, really, really appreciate that, mate. He's asking, what would you do to a Capri if you had one in your fleet, engine setup, etc. Cheers as always for your help and support. Yeah, I think a Capri would be awesome with a V8 in it, and they do have quite a big engine bay, so I'm pretty sure you could squeeze one in there quite easily. I know that you are thinking about going down the ST170 route with your Capri, which I'm really looking forward to seeing you do if you do decide to do that. But yeah, they call the Capri like the European Mustang, so yeah, I think a V8 would be really cool. Next up, we got Dave McRae Taylor. Massive shout to you, saying watch your vlogs all the time, brilliant content. Yeah, really appreciate that, mate. Next up, we got Gary Teds. Massive shout to you, saying, where did your love of old Fords come from and what would your dream build be? Yeah, as I mentioned in part 1 of the Q&A, I was actually saving up for a classic Mini when I was 18 years old, just because I wanted something unique and I wanted something where I could actually get insured on the fastest version of a car, and a Mini Cooper is only a 1.3, so in my mind it meant that I would be able to get insured on it. But then I saw an old school friend driving a Mark 1 Escort when he came to a couple of local car meets with us, and yeah, I just thought, yeah, I have to have one of them. Absolutely loved the look of it. Then sort of found out that they're rear-wheel drive and you can go sideways and that they're really easy to work on and they're really lightweight. You know, his car was a 1.3 and it was way faster than any other 1.3 I'd ever been in. That car was actually the Mark 1 that I ended up buying, and that is Esther, the Mark 1 that I still own. Next up, we got DC Fezzy Resto. That's Dean Cutler. Massive shout to you, mate. He's also got a YouTube channel, which I'll leave a link to in the description. Definitely go and check it out. Now, Dean's asking, what video editing program do I use? As he's trying to use Filmora, but has had nothing but grief with it. Yeah, I actually use iMovie, which is a free application. And yeah, it seems like it's got plenty of features, and it was really easy for me to learn to use with a bit of practice. It's only available on Mac computers as far as I know, but yeah, iMovie is what I use. So yeah, massive thanks to you, Dean, for your question, and good luck with your channel, mate. Next up, we got Garage of Joe. Massive shout to you, mate, asking what's your dream car and engine combo. Yeah, as I've mentioned already in this Q&A, at the moment, the dream, which I'll probably never achieve, is to own something with a Millington lump in it. Those engines are amazing, but very expensive. He's also saying, in 5 to 10 years, when the ST170 motors are hard to get, like the Cosworths are, for example, what engine or electric motor do you think people will be swapping into old Fords? Yeah, the ST170s are definitely going to run out. I think they only made about 5,000 ST170 Focuses. I think the Z-Techs are going to be plentiful for years and years, though, because obviously they were put into so many different Fords. And ultimately, if you're building a really, really high-spec Z-Tech, then you're probably better off using a normal blacktop anyway. By the time you've fitted larger cams and, you know, done away with a VVT, it sort of makes the benefits of an ST170 lump not worthwhile. I prefer an ST170 lump stock versus a stock blacktop. But yeah, I think the next one is going to be the Duratec's. There's loads of people putting those into classic Fords. Retro Ford, who do really high quality Z-Tech conversion parts, also do Duratec conversion parts. And I've heard that the Duratec's can make about 300 horsepower NA. So yeah, I think Duratec's going to be the next one. Obviously, there is the EcoBoosts as well, the 3-cylinder turbos, like what my girlfriend Kat's got in her plastic Fiesta Roger. As for electric motors, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I'm a petrol head. Next up, we got David Coogan at David's Classic Fords. Massive shout to you, mate. What would you do to an Anglia if you had one? Colour, wheels, engine. Yeah, I do like Anglias, 105E Anglias. I think they look best with sort of light pastel-y colours and with the white roof. And I think, you know, with a set of white wheels. So, you know, maybe an Olympic blue or like a turquoise or something with the white accents. As for an engine, I think it'll have to be a Z-Tech or an ST170, wouldn't it? I saw a really, really nice, it was either Z-Tech or ST170 powered Anglia at horsepower at Herbie's last time I went. And that was sort of a light green, turquoisey colour, if I remember rightly. And yeah, that looked awesome. Next up, we got Dolly, the Frenchies World. Massive shout to you, asking, are you coming to Oso Retro this year? Yeah, I've never been to Oso Retro. We were supposed to go, what was it, last year or the year before, when all the madness started happening in the world. And yeah, the show got cancelled. We'd already booked a week in Weston-super-Mare and we still went. Wasn't the greatest time away with everything being shut. But yeah, definitely going to try and get to Oso Retro this year. Next up, we got Slipper Socks. Massive shout to you, saying their husband, Neil, who is at Diamond White Mark 1, would be thrilled to hear his name on a shout out if I can fit it in. Yeah, massive shout out to you, Neil, as well. And I think that is all the questions below my Instagram post. Just going to double check that I haven't missed any. Yeah, so that's all the Instagram questions. I'm now going to go through the comments and questions below the post that I put on the YouTube community tab. So first up, we got Delboy. Massive shout to you, mate, asking, what is your day job, how old are you, and first car? Well, my day job at the moment is I'm a collection driver for Royal Mail. I drive around in this red van collecting mail from post boxes, post offices, and from some businesses that actually pay for a collection. I'm 36 years old, so getting on a bit now, and my first car was a purple 1.2 litre Vauxhall Corsa, which was rubbish. Next up, we got Retro Stance, who also put his question on the Instagram. But yeah, massive shout out again to you, mate. Next up, we got Medi Annox. Shout out to you, asking what colour are Esther's wheels and what does Kat really think of your Fords? Yeah, Esther's wheels currently are Olympic blue, the same colour as she's painted. But I do have a set of the same wheels that have been powder coated black that I will be fitting very soon. As for what does Kat think of my Fords? Kat isn't a car girl, but you know, she's very supportive of my obsession for Fords and the channel. She does loads behind the scenes. I don't think I would be able to carry on in the way that I am without her. But even though she's not a car girl, she can appreciate the old school Fords. She actually really, really likes the purple 1300E Mark 1 Escorts. And funnily enough, Esther, my Mark 1 Escort, although she was white when I got her, when she first rolled out of the factory, she was a purple 1300E. Next up, we got Wayne Hammerton. Massive shout to you, mate, asking, are you going to be having some carbon fibre on the new Mordor? Yeah, I have no plans of fitting any carbon fibre to the new project. As I've already mentioned, I am really desperately trying to not ruin this one and, you know, trying to keep it stock, but never say never. Who knows what's going to happen in the future. But I can tell you that Esther and Maud are going to be getting some more carbon fibre very soon. Next up, we got Arron Y. Massive shout to you, mate, saying, very nice to meet you. Shame we didn't have longer to chat. Now that I'm the new owner of Maud's Old Seats, would people like to see my Project Mark III Golf on the Facebook page, or is it Ford only? Keep up the good work. Really enjoy the videos. Yeah, massive thanks for your positivity, mate. Really glad you enjoy the content. To be honest, my Facebook page is just for old school Fords because, you know, that's what I'm about. And that page was basically set up just so that people can share their old school Fords with me and with each other. But yeah, definitely ping over some pictures to my email of your Golf. I'd really, really like to see it. And yeah, thanks for purchasing Maud's Old Seats off me. And yeah, hope they do you a good turn in your track car, mate. Next up, we've got Adam Scott Watson. Massive shout to you, asking what happened to my old Fiesta and saying that he loves the videos. Yeah, really appreciate that, mate. Glad you enjoy the content. As for my old Mark 1 Fiesta, I sold it to my mate Fred, sometimes known as Lee, and he had it for a couple of years, and unfortunately he's got so many other projects on the go that he never actually did anything with it, but he sold it on to another guy who was apparently going to restore it, I think. Next up, we've got Bryant. Massive shout to you, mate, asking, is it about time the new project gets a name? Yep, as I've already mentioned, I do have a name for the new project and I'll announce that on the channel very soon. Next up, we got Neil L. Massive shout to you. Have you thought about doing a Captain Haddock lookalike for kids' parties? A few extra quid for the beige Mordor? Yeah, I hadn't ever thought about doing that, but yeah, if times get hard, why not? Shout out to Simon Dixon, who asks, do you have plans to have all the fleet together in one location? Yeah, it's a bit of a dream of mine to take all my cars to a show at some point. I was able to take Maud and my dad's Mark III to the Ford show last year. I was planning to have Esther there as well, but obviously she got crashed into. I'm actually going back over to Northern Ireland for the Summit run later on in the year. And yeah, if I can somehow get all the cars there, that would be awesome. Obviously, wouldn't be able to drive them all myself though, so I'd need to find some people who are willing to drive my old bangers. But yeah, it would be awesome to have all my cars at one show. Shout out to Jon Parry, who says, hello, where do you want to go this year that's new to you? And what would you change about any of your current cars? Keep up the good work. Great channel. As I just mentioned, I will be going back over to Northern Ireland for the Summit run, but I am actually planning another trip over to Ireland much sooner than that, to an event that I've never been to. But yeah, with the changes that are going to be happening in my life very soon, it's going to free me up to go to way more shows and way more places, meet loads more of you guys and get your cars on the channel. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this year I'm going to be going to a lot of places and shows that I haven't been to before. So watch this space. Next up, we got Matt Liles. Massive shout to you. Hi Marcus, are you going to put cages in the Mark 1 and Mark 2s, or are you putting the seats back in them for your future family? Yeah, I have no intention at the moment of having my own family. But as for roll cages, I think if I ever sort of turned Maud into a dedicated drift car or had some sort of dedicated drift car, I would have to put a roll cage in it. The reason I haven't put cages in my cars now is because they don't have loads and loads of power. So, you know, if you're carrying around all that extra metal pipe work, it's just going to make the car even slower than they are now. But yeah, you know, I'd love to have a proper dedicated drift car. And I think at that point, it would be silly not to put a cage in it, especially if you're going to start, you know, trying to get close to people while you're drifting and stuff. So next up, we got Weekend Shedhead. Massive shout to you, mate. Weekend Shedhead also has a YouTube channel all about his awesome shed. It is the ultimate man cave. Definitely go and check his channel if you haven't already. I'll leave a link in the description. He's asking, what's the most challenging job you have done on any of your cars, past or present? Well, I think it would have to be trying to get the gearbox back on the engine the times that I've tried to do it without lowering the engine right down or pulling the engine completely out the engine bay. So many people manage to do it by, you know, just dropping the crossmember a little bit or tilting the engine back. And yeah, a number of times, although I know that I've never been able to do it, I do try and do it, and it's a nightmare laying under the car, trying to lift the gearbox up. You've got to get it at the right angle, and every time you try, your arms are getting more and more tired. So I think, yeah, that would have to be the most difficult thing I've ever done, or well, failed to do. But yeah, nowadays I just take the rad out, disconnect the engine from the gearbox, pull the engine forward, and then I can drop the gearbox down that way. Yeah, maybe at some point in the future, I think I should get a larger gearbox tunnel in Maud, and then it might make that job possible. But yeah, that is the one thing that sticks in my mind that has been an absolute nightmare a number of times. Yeah, massive thanks to you, Rob, for your question, and good luck with your channel. Next up, we got Simon Dixon. Shout out to you, mate. He's actually got 2 questions. He's asking, have I always been a postman? Yeah, I started working for Royal Mail when I was 16. I literally dropped out of school at 16. 3 months after my last day at school, I was starting my job at Royal Mail, and I've been there now for 20 years. His next question is, what's your long-term plans for you and the channel? What advice would you give for someone wanting to start a channel? In terms of advice, I do get a lot of people asking me, and I don't mind. You know, I don't consider myself great at this, but I can see that I'm getting better and better with time. The best advice I can give anyone in terms of making YouTube videos is make YouTube videos. Don't sit back and think, oh, you know, when I get the right equipment, when I'm good at editing, you know, when I've got X amount of Instagram followers, just make videos. The only way you're going to get better at making YouTube videos, or anything in life really, is by doing it. So if you're thinking about making YouTube videos, my advice is make YouTube videos. Don't be one of these people that is going to start making YouTube videos one day and then you find that 5 years down the line you still haven't made a YouTube video. As for the long-term plans for me and my channel, I just want to keep making videos, and the changes that I've hinted at that I will explain in more detail in future are going to mean that I'm going to be able to make more videos more frequently, and we'll see how far it goes. And lastly, we've got Harry Smith, massive shout to you, mate, saying, please can you do your own meet at Herbie's? Well, the meets at Herbie's that are organised by AD Bryant are awesome. He does a great job on the meets, and I wouldn't like to tread on his toes, but I'll definitely be attending more of his meets at Herbie's. I would like to organise my own sort of event at some point though. So yeah, keep an eye on my channel and my social media, and hopefully at some point I'll be able to organise my own meet. So that is the end of part 2 of the Q&A. Massive shout out and a thanks to everyone who got involved. As I mentioned at the end of part 1, I normally go through the comments of my YouTube videos on the evening that I put the video out and just reply to every comment. So if you've got a question that I didn't answer in the Q&A, definitely put it in the comments, especially if you're watching the video soon after it was uploaded, and I'll get back to you. But other than that, I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. Massive thanks to each and every one of you for your continued support of my channel. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.